Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
This is Rangaroo, hello, hello, hello.
And folks, do not adjust your sets. We are on the map of Shechedrin. Rang, who do we have? What are they bringing?
Left hand side in the blue, we have Luna playing Ski Jaeger with a Maverick income. Right hand side in the red, we have Noob, Lord of, playing Task Force Butler with a Vanguard income.
I'm sorry, I was completely distracted by the beauteousness that is the Jagdpanzer Gazelle down south. I have to love this tank destroy. Again, this is like the pack track that just is really not stellar. It's the door knocker on the back of a
pack track you have at home.
Exactly. It's not the pack track that you want to marry, but it's the pack track you see on the side. So,
yeah, it's been a while since we've seen the Ski Jaegers. I mean, they've definitely been power creeped a little bit in regards to being like the infantry type, like elite infantry style division. But division I personally like quite a lot, and they still have some pretty good tricks up their sleeves. So it'd be curious to see how they do actually do. Because if we just take a look up north, actually a pretty heavy investment up north here from Mr. Noob.
Really? You think so? I think I see the M10 tank destroyer down south. I see mortars. I see M8s and cavalry scouts. Yeah, there's more units up there, but is that really that?
I think it's more just it's more of the all the armor. That's still like pretty expensive, just all those tanks, especially considering now the American runs with all the fancy 50 cals. They're actually getting the bloody gun jam on T-34. So you'll be able to actually get up here, secure both flags, because Luna's actually being quite passive with his northern defense here. They're very passive.
Because down south he has an artillery strike coming in right now. He's going to try to take out that entire hillside. Jagdpanzer Gazelle engages the M8. He's not going to do well, but he does take out the stovepipe, which is still pretty positive here. And while those cavalry scouts over here aren't going to be pushed back or seen just yet, if you look down to the south, there's a rifle leader, there's the M10, and then there's, well, I have now listed everything that's on the southern side of the map, really.
So the rest of it's gone. And then looking at the lung position as well, Luna's actually going for a kind of an aggressive push here, bringing out some Ski Jaegers. I mean, of course, the Ski Jaegers, it's the entire division. But also mainly just the armor as well to back him up here. So he's getting good trades, and honestly, these Jagdpanzer Gazelles early on have really proved their worth, which is quite fun to see, because the bloody 15 points.
Yes, they are, and they're actually deadly to pretty much anything over here on the American side, which is quite funny. Stewart, of course, getting a little bit frisky. Cavalry scouts, of course, moving in, and the Jagdpanzer Gazelle just kind of prances away, and kind of encourages, I guess, that Panzerboy, what's that, the Einheitsvierzig? Yeah, the Einheitsvierzig moving on up, as well as that captured Beute 34.
Yes.
CGMC. Okay, so I think right now the fear is, okay, I don't want to see another artillery strike. I want this thing to die. So now it's the CGMC on the map. Not just good for killing PBIs, also good for, lightning is striking once.
Wow, it's actually, was that the anti-air it's got it?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think that was the T-34.
Oh yeah, he does get the anti-37 mils, which is pretty good, because you don't get a whole lot of anti-air for Ski Jaeger, but just enough of those 37s in a 1v1 match is enough to keep you going.
Also, unfortunately, I mean, we have a naval buffer on the map, but unfortunately, he's aiming at something that's a little bit less efficient. I wish he had dropped it about 500 meters and gone after the actual town itself. He could have absolutely, eradicated everything that's there.
Yeah, I don't know where you're just trying to go for a, you might not know it's only a 60mm mortar, but still, like, just hitting that frontline position, moving up his Ski Jaegers, you could pretty easily get at least one or two of those flags.
I'd like to think by the rapidity of the shells, you should be able to figure that part out, but maybe that's just me being, again, I see everything. Marauder, in the meantime, this thing comes out, and he's dropping a hefty amount of bombs. So that lung is going to be, well, a bit of a coughing fit, let's call it.
That's a very good strike here from Noob. Doesn't get a whole lot of kills, but enough to force Luna off that position. He doesn't have a whole lot to follow up with, unfortunately, but it's mainly just buying him time to bring up reinforcements, because it still sucks that he doesn't have his lung completely under control, but the main thing is just making sure he doesn't lose the flag.
True. And down south, Command Sherman being brought on in because with the Command Sherman, theoretically, that should be enough to clean up the hilltop.
Mm-hmm. There's not a whole lot of anti-tank on the Ski-Jäger Pioneer troops here. And the rifles are pretty decent. They're beefy squads. You got all the semi-autos, which helps you out quite a bit. So really, Noob just needs a little bit of fire support to maybe push this hill.
That's true. Unfortunately, in the meantime, we have discovered that lightning will strike twice, or at least if when you're an F5B, you will. And wait a second. Ooh, I didn't realize all the Task Force Butler stuff is actually in A phase. I mean, that makes perfect sense being a Vanguard division, but that's kind of surprising to see that that's...
Yeah, it's very front-loaded here. He does at least have one C phase card infantry, but yeah, he only has that one B phase card, so all his really good infantry, you know, is in short supply early on. So it's going to be very important for him to, you know, really take advantage of the next 3 minutes or so he has left of this. It's not a huge income advantage, but enough to matter.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Lungs are going to go we have a Pioneer that gets super close to an HMG and then just kind of surrenders. And meanwhile, an M10 tank destroyer between the Panzerpoische and the Jagdpanzer they're both going to lose. Okie dokie.
Very good use of airstrike so far from Noob. Like, when they're not getting blown up from the 37 mils, he's actually doing a good job of denying these pushes, especially with how these hilltop fights are. A lot of the troops are very bunched up, so it makes it perfect for a good old American bombing run.
Curiously enough, the Debova for being brought really close to the front lines. I think maybe he heard us and will be engaging with a much more concentrated barrage soon. Thing is, the Debova takes forever to reload.
Especially when you're having to like load it on the back of a truck, it also takes time with the repositioning here. And still, like, Luna doesn't have a whole lot of forces here to do a counter-attack. He really only has 2 infantry and it's like near the front line. The other Ski-Jäger is more just in defense. You want a bigger blob of dudes, but, you know, unfortunately, you know, one of the things with Ski-Jäger, all your troops are, for the most part, pretty... never mind, you got 20 points Ski-Jägers. But he still needs more guys on the front to actually, you know, push the town.
I think right now he's more panicked about the southern side, which I get. I think that's one of those moments of your opponent shouting at you, so you shout back. But I don't agree with maybe the heavy investment of a couple martyrs and a T-34 and all this other stuff. I feel like it could have been accomplished a little bit more, at least contained down south. Yes, you lost it for now, but contain.
Yeah, I think coming to B-phase as well, just getting a neighbor for down south for doing runders, you just barrage the hell off that hill, and then you just go up here for Ski-Jägers. I mean, that's exactly what they're built for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cross-country Ski-Jägering.
Uphill both ways.
Exactly. Or as Robin Williams would call it, Norwegian drive-by. Cavalry Scouts, in the meantime, though, I mean, if you're on an upper position, these guys don't like skiing uphill, and you can see that happening right about now. But we are going to see... Okay, alright, so another day before first strike, this time going after an HMG. Okay. And a couple of Sturm Ski-Jägers being brought on in. Okay, so I'm going to watch this, because I feel like he's going to move forward and realize, oh, I should have engaged the other one to the northwest of this. Because he's got to be able to see some of this.
Yeah, I really do not like his neighbor for strikes at all. Like, he's trying to use it for, you know, we do see people to use neighbor for strikes and anti-aircraft counter battery, which does work if you're planning to go heavy, you know, in aircraft investment here. But just racing them trying to, you know, knock out individual units when you just have such a huge clump of nasty guys here, it really has not paid off here at all for Luna.
That's a very, very gentle way of putting it. Now, down south, there was a Ju-87 that came into cluster that Command Sherman unto death. And there's a 172 Mike that's going to be kind of dropping us some more off-map. But for the moment, there's a odd kind of quietus kind of coming across the map. Or quietus, actually, is probably how most people would say it. But, you know, an odd moment of peace.
a calm before the storm, you could say, as we head into B phase. This off-map strike here from Luna isn't also not going to get a whole lot. Once again, just really poor timing with the artillery, especially with off-map and rocket artillery. You're wanting to be using them to, you know, clear up a position so you could push through. Or here he's just trying to use them as, you know, I want to pinpoint kill one or two things. And really I want, well, heavy artillery for that, which Jaeger doesn't have a whole lot of, but you don't want to be really racing your precious neighbor for an off-map strike. It's just during yes.
Well, and especially when you don't have anything to kind of consolidate the position moving forward. I'm not going to say ironically, but that artillery barrage just now did kill 2 people. I'm not suggesting that was the stellar part of it, but regardless. And the town is the push into the town is happening, and it is they do not care. M8 goes down, Stormskiega kind of schlumping on through and picking things off. I don't know if he's going to be able to really get to the Steward, but that would be quite amusing if that Steward goes down.
That one machine gun team which didn't get killed, obviously it being alive is proven to be a huge pain. It's got a perfect line of sight down the road, and it is completely suppressing Skiega troops, the 60mm mortars are providing good fire support, and it even brought enough time for Noob to bring up an off-map artillery of his own. So Luna is definitely going to be evicted off this dance floor here quite quickly.
Probably going to be the case. Actually, definitely going to be the case. But, you know, it's its own time here. Martyrs, in the meantime, onto the lungs, starting to engage the M10 tank destroyer. And I was going to say, it probably goes about the way you might expect. But no, the Martyr picks him off at range. And that's kind of, I guess, the thing that we don't really talk about very much either, is the fact that the Martyr is still a points-efficient call-in for a lot of divisions. Doubly so, I would argue, for the Ski Jaeger, who just doesn't have those MBTs to kind of call upon. Yeah,
they're good, they're cheap. You supplement RAL in the defenses, especially when you're just, you know, lobbing shells at long range. Like, Ski Jaeger has, like, a pretty damn good little, like, tank anti-tank tab. It's perfect for 1v1. You got enough cheap medium stuff. I guess the one problem, as we've seen with last match, they don't have a whole lot of super cheap light spam. They have the Jagdpanzer Gazelles, but that's really it. Oh, no, 221s. They do have some, but not like infantry, autocannon, fire support, which is always good to have.
Also, the Marauders are finding themselves alone, flying through green fields with the sun on their face. One has already perished. The second one has taken an awful lot of fire and might, just might, be entertained by that other BF-109? No. BF-109 backs away.
A lot of off-map up north. We're seeing the counter off-map from Luna and the second strike here from Ransom Noob. So really the front line is not going to be going anywhere anytime soon, as this town just gets completely leveled to smithereens.
But not to be outdone, a Petrarch comes on in and picks off that Steward before it happens, screaming, I have a purpose! Before probably vanishing in fire along with everything else. Saboteurs, in the meantime, sitting behind the front lines. Ooh, wait, one shell takes out 2 T-34s.
Whoa! That's a pretty lucky hit, right? Yeah, because that really knocks out a lot of the firepower for this northern push. And that's going to be quite important now, because as we get into B and C phase, all the new, units really start to peter off. He does have some Maki Sarge and Rallies, but they're not really going to be up to snuff compared to the, the frankly rather good rifle late prod.
Well, especially when you have one car that's 32 troops over here, even in C phase, yeah, that's pretty nuts. Flicking down south real quick, a resurgent push is going to see, M4A1 getting picked off over here again. There's Martyrs proving their weight in, I would say, gold, but how about platinum? That's always actually pretty nice as well.
Steel?
Yeah, exactly, but not welded. Just cast. But we're seeing one stinking M3A1 over here putting some firepower down with that Modus. He's gonna die soon, and that will be the last dance on the hilltop for quite some time.
Yeah. Oh, we haven't seen Luna, like, in the late A phase, early B phase, really trade away out efficiently. He had a very good opening. He managed to gain territory, but we've seen Noob manage to, restabilize the front line here. But I think the matter of attrition now is really going to go into Noob's disfavor, because he just doesn't really have a whole lot of good stuff anymore, even, 5 minutes left in B phase here. I think it's going to be difficult, especially if just a Ski Jaeger spam, because your Ski Jaeger Pioneers, the Sturm Ski Jaegers, pretty damn cost efficient, and there's a lot of Sturmgewehrs one has to deal with.
But that's the thing, though. Task Force Butler is one of those groups that you have to be extremely aggressive and extremely, let's say, bulldogish in the early 2 phases. You don't get a lot on the back end.
Well, you do not. I mean, you got some pretty good, like, the French troops, they require a little bit more micro, especially these saboteurs, but what he needs is, dudes in the front line here. I mean, on the hilltop position, he's managing to win because Mardus is, God's given gun, but he also needs anti-tank to deal with the Marauders, and, well, okay, he does have some Pack 40s and 6-pounders, or 57 mils, which would probably be a good idea for his hilltop position. He needs just some cheap anti-tank.
He does. I don't think he's going to get it, though. You know, to the northern side, 4 more skier squads being deployed on in, and like you said, those Marquis Sards, Napoleon bless them, they'll do their best, but this is, I mean, you can't stand up to firepower of 40 dudes running at you, all with STGs.
Yeah, the real best bet is to use some Molotovs, but you only get 2 of those, and those STGs do have rather large 30-round magazines.
And you would have thought, you would have thought that there would have been a gentle, let's say, proud tradition of a little more of a imbibing, let's call it, and providing for more of those Molotov cocktails, or at least the containers for them. Well, those Marquis Sards, teetotalers, man, every one of them.
They're holding their fire, waiting for the guys to get real close.
Yeah, you have fun with that. 3 Stens versus 36 STGs. I know where my money is. Molotov out.
Good hit, actually.
It is, but I think that's the swan song. Very much the swan song. It's real bad when you are in a building and the attackers are out in the open and you still take heavier losses.
Gotta love assault rifles.
You gotta love it. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Putting down just a lot of effective firepower here. And I believe the off-map is out of charges, and, the attrition is really starting to show here from Noob. He has, infantry units scattered around, but against just a concentrated force here from Luna, like, he's just not gonna hold.
No, he is not. Waiting, There's still a decent amount of firepower being levied here down south. P-47 is going to go and drop bombs and stymie the push for now. Yes, you got a couple stewards moving in. Yes, you got 25 mils and things like that. I'm waiting for the neighborhood for it to be truly devastating, and it's not happening. Northern side, actually, we have another one that we can actually call on in here as well. So I feel like the center, it usually matters a lot more than what it does in this particular match. We're not seeing it, though, today. Definitely not seeing it today.
Yeah, honestly, Luna doesn't really have to push onto the opposite lung position. If he just sets up good defense along his lung, I mean, he already has a very good defense around the southern hill here. He just needs to start investing in those anti-tank guns, those Marders, set up those long-range 75mm Pack 40 fights, and he's just going to beat out all of Lord's vehicles, because there's not really a whole lot left. A lot of 76mm Shermans are down. It's really just down to regular Shermans and Wolverines.
And Stewards.
Rich.
Marauder, in the meantime, throws down bombs to the northern side and obliterates this push. He puts a nice little pause on it for right now.
But the anti-aircraft net here is pretty thick. I mean, you can't really afford to lose any single run of these 37mm vehicles, because you get 6 of them in total in the division. But that's enough for 1v1, just as long as you micro them effectively, move them every now and again. They are self-propelled. You can cover the entire map, and if you deny those Marauders, well, Noob doesn't have a whole lot of fire support left in his bag of tricks. You're just going to have to call out the Butler to get him some more.
Exactly. Watching over here as we have 2 Stewards run up the hill after these rifles, and as you might suspect, things go about as well as you would anticipate. I am curious to see, will we see a more intelligent nib of a first strike down south? My guess is we'll see an interesting one. We might see him go after that mortar. Oh no,
He's
never
trying to
mind.
go for the 25 mil. Or it's okay, it's anti-aircraft counter battery, but maybe, personally, I'm trying to get the Pack 40. There's only one guy left.
But whether or not I know that, I still would probably kill the weapons platform. That's more important to me. And I'd fire one rocket. I wouldn't fire all 6. Northern side, yep, we're continuing the proud tradition, going after a single rifle squad. Hit that flag next time, my friend. So, some very interesting decisions being utilized here by Luna. And again, we know solid player. I think it's just one of those moments every now and again that you kind of get really fixated on a certain piece of the puzzle, and you want to go and solve that piece before you move on to the next one. And artillery is kind of one of those undo buttons. You just kind of fire with reckless abandon, and that will be a much better, much more lasting impression.
Yeah, because really what's helped Luna right now just push his front line is just the quality of his infantry here. We're actually seeing that start to fall up a little bit up north as they have some quality infantry, but that one Stuart with the machine guns is being able to shut that down because the infantry don't have any combined arms fire support to back them up here. So Noob has set up a little, decent little defense line. Or I'll say decent, it's really just a Stuart holding that down.
Well, in the center time here, too, we're starting to see a resurgent attempt to really be picking on these lungs. Pushes down and kind of really pounds those Marquisards. Commandos de Afrique over here. These guys are solid, but, I mean, they're basically the French version of cavalry scouts.
Yeah.
I would argue.
I think in defensive positions, he should be good enough.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Ju-87, in the meantime, comes in. Not sure what he was trying to kill. Down south, anyway.
I can't see it either. But down south, I mean, like, Noob's just really starting to look a bit lackluster and stuff. Just the southern position is... It's just not a whole lot of infantry left. And, as we see time and time again in 1v1s, it's all about that infantry spam. Why everyone always plays infantry, cavalry, mechanized divisions anymore now. Because you just need that deep tab of elite troops. And he just doesn't really have that anymore. Especially against Skiaker, which has some pretty damn good dudes. I mean, this entire town post is being held from that one bloody Stuart, which is still going to town.
Well, unfortunately, the skier squad that could actually take him out isn't going to jump into that house and would be able to get a nice look at a kill there. Actually, both squads are going to get picked off here. And one final barrage, I think, is going to happen as we see a 25 mil take another full salvo and not get killed just yet.
Now hold on to dear life long enough.
Means both DO-217 is being brought on, and these are ones with the 40 mil cannons in the front. I'll say there's 4 of them. Not really maybe the most important things right now, but hey, ground attack is ground attack. Oh, I found out what the Ju-87 went. There's a dead Stuart in the lungs.
Oh.
There's a lot of impact craters around it. And with that Stuart dead, 3 Skier squads are going to get onto that hilltop, and they're going to be hit by stovepipes pretty quickly.
That's pretty effective fire support. Yeah, that's at 160 mil. Good God, almost getting all of him stunned here. But once again, it's just coming down to attrition. I mean, he got some good hits, but the infantry is very, very thin.
Yes, it is. And there we go. Counter battery going after that mortar. I approve. There we go. That to me is a more lasting, immediate thing. And take that supply check. Ooh, that is very, very unlucky for the mortar. But I like that a lot more.
We're seeing the 2 M10s here as well. I mean, they're pretty deadly. There's nothing to back them up anymore. It's just coming down to the infantry game. And it's just not looking good. That hill position from Luna is pretty tight at this point. Not heavily fortified. It's not Fort Knox. But it is a stuck 3G.
Well, we know Fort Knox in the first place can be broken into by an overweight man in a U.S. Army general in a uniform. So let's not talk about Fort Knox as being the most, heavily secured thing in the world. But you're right. I mean, M10s over here down are basically just like these are the rocks of Gibraltar. These guys are, as long as they have HE shells and Mod 2 ammo, they will not be stopped. But if you look at one of them right now, It's got 160 rounds of Mod Deuce and 5 HE. The other one's got 2 and 160 rounds. So they're starting to run a little bit low there.
Yeah. And the Stug 3G is going to be able to, engage him one by one just due to how they're positioned here. And also actually good use of fire support to actually stress him out to give him the advantage in the tank fight here. I do like that quite a lot. And yeah, considering, how this map is set up, especially down south and in the center, Georgia's holding the high ground, Luna's pretty much got it at this point. The lung position is almost fallen.
One last Marauder strike, so he's going to go and pound the hilltop, but the M10s are gone. I see the Penta Boys over there, and the back of that SPW was able to go and jam the other M10. If the other Marauder goes down here, yep. I agree with that. Noob taps. That makes perfect sense.
And there we go. And looking at the KD, actually a pretty, standard 1,000 is different share. But that really just came down to attrition. Like, just Noob's deck was... He was doing pretty good, like, when he had stuff, but he lost the stuff. Like, he was honestly, I think he was playing better. He's using combined arms a bit more effectively. Luna was starting to pick up in that a little bit later on, especially with the push on the hill of the 410 following through. But just having a deep deck of, scary infantry guys works quite a lot. I think is a good reason, right, to meta.
I agree. Kills over here, the off-map is actually the most killy thing, really, overall. And losses, actually, the 172 was pretty killy. A single martyr. I mean, the funny thing is that really no one was super sterling on either side. It was just, I feel like, a bit of a mishmash the entire way through.
Mm-hmm. It was actually nice seeing Ski. It's been forever since we've seen Ski Jaeger. It's still a pretty decent division.
Yes, it is. Any final thoughts there, though, sir?
No.
And folks, in that case, then, until next time, I'm Connellwork.
I'm Rangru. Take it easy.